Teddy Bridgewater dismantles the Bucs defense in his most complete game so far, and a pair of first-round draft picks help New Orleans shut down Tampa's offense. Plus, LSU keeps rolling ahead of Saturday's huge matchup with Florida. Tulane gets a giant road win at Army, and Pelicans fans get their first on-court look at Zion Williamson. 5 games in, and the 2019 Saints season is off to a magical start. I'm Doug Mouton. Welcome to 4th Down on 4. The most special moments in sports are when things happen that you didn't see coming. When Drew Brees went down and the Saints and the Rams dominated the Saints in L.A., no one saw 3 straight wins coming. And with each win, the Saints are taking major steps forward. In Sunday's win over the Bucs, Teddy Bridgewater stepped up, as Ricardo LeCompte reports.
This was the Sunday Teddy Bridgewater would finally be appreciated for the job he's done playing QB1 for the Black and Gold. And it wasn't just because Bridgewater led New Orleans to a divisional win over Tampa Bay, but because the highest paid backup in the league was finally unleashed in this offense.
But we knew coming into this game that, we wanted that aggressive mindset, and we knew that we were going to have more opportunities to do different things.
He got into a rhythm, and I felt like we did a good job protecting for him. We got the ball down the field more.
And that was seen on the Saints' second possession of the game. Bridgewater completed his longest pass since 2015 on a 34-yard hookup to Michael Thomas. New Orleans got 3 points out of it. And even though his only mistake came later in the first quarter on a ball that should have been caught by Alvin Kamara, which led to the Buccaneers' first touchdown of the contest, Bridgewater was still exceptional after that. He got the ball out to Thomas as the $100 million receiver scored the Saints' first touchdown of the game early in the second quarter. Bridgewater continued to carve up the 31st ranked pass defense in the league. He connected with Jared Cook before the half for the tight end's first score in the Black and Gold.
Felt like old times. It felt good. It felt real good. It was big for us. We got a big play on the team when we needed it. Teddy delivered a good ball, and I just fought my way in, so it felt really good.
Bridgewater continued to sling it coming out of the half, whether it was a 33-yard touchdown to Ted Ginn Jr. or a key 3rd and 10 toss to Thomas. Bridgewater took his shots down the field. The signal caller was a perfect 5 for 5 on throws of 20 or more yards in the game.
It's extremely important for us to get a tempo and rhythm going. And once we're getting that, 7 yards, 8 yards, 10 yards, and it turns into 25-yard games. And so it's huge for us to get a tempo going, get a run game going. That defense was extremely good against the run.
The NFL's top-ranked rush defense, and the Saints ran for 112 yards against it. It allowed the Saints to stretch the field, and Mike Thomas was the beneficiary. The All-Pro receiver targeted 13 times, made 11 catches for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I have to be that guy I say I am. I have to make people miss. I have to catch the ball. I have to score points. That's what they have me here for. Even like a guy like Alvin Kamara, after watching him in the last 4 weeks, it's contagious. Really, you don't want to go down.
He wants to be great, and he wants to continue to be respected. And he plays this game with a chip on his shoulder. The past couple of weeks, he's just been a guy who's shown up for us as he's done, in his past couple of years.
And it helped Bridgewater finish with 314 yards on 26 of 34 passing and 4 touchdowns. Prior to Sunday, Bridgewater had one other 4-touchdown performance. That came against the Bears in 2015 when he was quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Bridgewater has been effective replacing an injured Drew Brees. He's 3-0 as a starter, and he's done a great job of handling the pressure that comes with replacing a future Hall of Fame quarterback like number 9.
I try to be the best version of Teddy that I can be, but I also use the resources around me. So to have a guy like Drew in my corner backing me up, that's very beneficial to me. And just to be able to come into a situation like this where, the expectation level is very high, I just wake up and tell myself, man, just be Teddy.
It's hard for him to come in with all that pressure on him, so that's why I kept telling him, we with you. Regardless of what you do, man, we with you, because I know the pressure that comes after, Drew Brees. And to step in and get these consecutive wins, man, it's big for Teddy. I'm happy for him.
Bridgewater surrounded by support now. not only from the locker room, but also in the stands. Reporting at the Superdome, Ricardo LeCompte, 4th Down on 4.
All right, good stuff, Ricardo. And as good as Bridgewater in the offense was, the defense was just as good. And a second-year guy with an enormous upside has really begun to show it. Andrew Doak has that part of the story.
The Saints defense turned in another dominant performance for the third straight week, and the Black and Gold's defensive line continued to show they are among the NFL's elite. They battered and bruised Bucs quarterback Jameis Winston, sacking him 6 times and hitting him 8. And the Saints' second-year defensive end, Marcus Davenport, was on the delivering end of 3 of those bludgeonings.
We're overly talented in terms of our D-line. You talk about Marcus Davenport, he's coming into his own, as you guys can see him coming off the edge.
Davenport has taken a significant leap forward so far this season, and sometimes that improvement does not always appear in the box score. However, today it did, as he logged 2 sacks, the sexy stat every defensive end is searching for. But when you dive deeper into his statistics, his effectiveness has been tangible. Entering Sunday's contest, he had already logged 6 quarterback hits, which ranked 2nd in the NFL among edge rushers this season, and he ranked 8th in the league with 15 hurries. But Davenport, who is his own toughest critic, still felt like his stat sheet could have been better.
Man, I don't know. I'm just trying to play my game, keep it consistent, keep my mind focused, and just trying to be the same me, but better each week, so, yeah.
But the standout showing defensively for the Saints came from corner Marshon Lattimore. He essentially had a performance that was equivalent to a pitcher throwing a perfect game. He held Bucs wide receiver Mike Evans to no catches on just 3 targets.
Towards the end of the game, he ain't got 1 catch. I was like, man, just forget it, man. Don't jinx it, man. Let me just keep playing and stay focused, locked in, man. That's all. I'm glad, he didn't get 1 in the little zone we be playing. Nothing, not 1. So, I'm happy about that.
And Lattimore's work against Evans was basically unprecedented. Only 1 other time in Evans' career was he ever held without a reception, and that was actually back in 2015 in New Orleans too. But in that game, Evans was nursing a hamstring injury and only played limited snaps. Today was different. Lattimore made one of his biggest rivals invisible, a much different outcome than the last time Evans came into the Superdome and roasted Lattimore for 147 and a score. And number 23 did not forget about that.
No catches, feel good, especially what he did to me at home last year. It was in my mind, of course, but, I won today.
And he's a giant reason the Saints did too. From the Superdome, Andrew Doak, 4th Down on 4.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, Andrew. All right, so many positives to talk about. Time to get some analysis. We go back to Ricardo at the Superdome.
All right, Doug, joining us now is Larry Holder from The Athletic, and I'm going to start with this. Good luck to anybody who has to replace Drew Brees once he's done playing. So you understand that the pressure that Teddy Bridgewater is on when he has to replace a guy like Drew Brees under center, but so far through these 3 games, he's handled that pressure.
Absolutely, and there's a reason why Sean Payton and the Saints went to go get Teddy Bridgewater a couple of years ago in trading a 3rd-round pick for a backup quarterback. They bring him back and pay him good money and keep him away from a situation in Miami where he might even be starting. So they feel like he could handle it. And so it's one thing to feel like he can handle it. It's another to show that he can handle it. And we saw more of a Teddy Bridgewater that played normally in his career the last couple of weeks, but this is one of those outliers, I feel like, where when he's on, he's on. And he has that ability to turn that on, and I just feel like they had a good game plan. He felt noticeably comfortable. Sean Payton mentioned that in his post-game press conference. And when you're going up against a team that is susceptible to the pass, you got to get it done, and Teddy Bridgewater did that in a big way.
Yeah, you mentioned susceptible to the pass. They were the 31st ranked pass defense in the league coming into this contest. Looking at the other side of the ball, the defense, and I think there were 2 guys that I think had, kind of a little criticism coming into this game or just having a slow start to the season, and Marcus Davenport and Marshon Lattimore both played really well, and we finally got to see Davenport get a couple of sacks, and Lattimore absolutely shut down Mike Evans. It seems like those 2 guys now are kind of getting in their form here after a slow start, and I think the expectations on both are pretty high.
Well, they're both first-round picks. I mean, there's a reason why expectations, and even Sheldon Rankins in the locker room after this game, they say they call Marcus Davenport the double first-round pick because of how much they traded up to get him. But Look, Marshawn Lattimore started playing well last week against Amari Cooper. I feel like Marcus Davenport started playing actually pretty well against the Rams, and now you've seen that progression. And so, look, Mike Evans, no catches, no yards. Super incredible job by Marshawn Lattimore. And if you remember last year against the Bucs, Mike Evans tore up Marshawn Lattimore. So to see that all come back kind of 180 to where it was in his rookie year is such a big thing. And you could just tell that Marshawn Lattimore is starting to play better. And Marcus Davenport's playing freer. He's just playing, you could just see it in his speed and his power. I mean, he's running people over and sacking quarterbacks or getting thrown on the ground for holding calls because he's about to sack Jameis Winston. Big-time players, big-time moments. The Saints are going to need those two guys, like I said. You add those guys like Mike Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Marcus Davenport, Marshawn Lattimore. You need your big-time players to play big in this scenario, and you're starting to see it all the way around, including those two guys.
You know, it's a Saints team that's always known for its prolific offenses, but this defense for the last 2 years, especially with the talent they have, is getting better and better, and I think they're being recognized as one of the better forces in the league. Larry, appreciate it. Thank you very much. We'll send it back to you.
Coming up, we'll head to Baton Rouge, where LSU's offense overwhelmed Utah State as expected. But the Tigers' defense showed off its best performance of the season so far. And Tulane traveled to West Point and gave Army a taste of its own medicine by running all over the Black Knights. And later, Zion and the Pelicans hosted fans at an open practice this weekend. Ed Ogeron called it his team's most complete game so far this season, and it was. Look, I know it's hard for LSU fans to get overly excited about Utah State, but the Aggies won 11 games last year, including a bowl win, and they have a quarterback who will play in the NFL. And LSU completely and totally dominated. When your quarterback is in the Heisman Trophy hunt, how he plays will always grab the headlines. And Joe Burrow was outstanding again. 5 TD passes, better than 9 yards a throw, although he said it wasn't his best effort.
You know, I left some throws out on the field. We turned the ball over way too many times, way too many balls on the ground. But, I mean, we had 600 yards of offense, and we're not very happy. So that tells us where we can go.
The end zone. Jefferson is there. Makes another catch.
The offensive star was Destrehan's Justin Jefferson. 9 catches, 155 yards, and 2 scores. But it wasn't just the passing game.
We ran the football like we wanted to run it. We controlled the clock. We kept the ball away from their offense. There was 5, 6 people in the box, and we thought that we could run the football, and that's what happened.
4 different Tigers ran for at least 40 yards. LSU effectively took what Utah State gave them, and it added up to 248 rushing yards on 51 carries, which helped LSU control the clock for more than 41 minutes and limit Utah State's possessions, which facilitated the real story of the game.
Our defense tackled well in space. I thought we played lights out on defense to hold those guys without a touchdown.
LSU held a fast-paced, good Aggie offense to 159 total yards. Ed Ogeron said the pass rush was better. Linebacker Patrick Queen was all over the field in what might have been his best day as a Tiger. And freshman cornerback Derek Stingley turned in maybe the play of the game on this pick. Just a great day for the Tiger defense.
There was a lot of confidence going on with them Tigers today on that field. You know, the tackling, there wasn't a lot of missed tackle. There was a lot of stops. There was a lot of third down stops. There was a lot of pass rush. And just looked like LSU defense guys were flying around making plays.
LSU played a complete game, and they'll need to do it again next week. Texas was the first major test of the season. LSU passed it brilliantly. This Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, the Tigers get test number 2 against the unbeaten Florida Gators. LSU was 5-0 when they played Florida last year, and they lost. Ed Ogeron was asked if this year's 5-0 team is better.
We're fixing to find out. You know, we're fixing to find out. I feel like we have a very good football team. I felt like we had a good team last year. Nobody knew about us last year. We're the underdogs, and we're always fighting. Now everybody is kind of coming after us. But, you know, Florida's going to be a big challenge for us, but it's games that we love to play.
What are your thoughts on having a nice matchup at nighttime? Death Valley should be rocking. I'm excited.
And 100,000 fans in Tiger Stadium will be too. And Tulane is also home Saturday, and the Green Wave are off to their best start since the unbeaten 1998 team. They're now 4-1 after a win Saturday at a good Army team. Tulane beat Army in all the ways Army normally wins. The Green Wave actually won the time of possession battle, and they had a 21-point fourth quarter lead. The Black Knights scored a couple late touchdowns to get it to within 9, but Army was 11-2 last year. The Green Wave went on the road and beat them by more than a touchdown.
A lot to clean up, but a huge win for us. They've won 15 in a row here at home. Haven't been beat since 2016. So this was big for us.
The Green Wave outgrinded Army. They rushed for 131 yards more than the Black Knights.
All the guys on the offensive side of the ball are doing a sensational job, and our kids are believing in what we're doing. We've got a lot of weapons, both throwing and running the football. It all starts up front with our offensive line. I thought they created a lot of big holes today.
House call from 41 yards. The Green Wave just rolling.
Tulane now has 7 games to go, and they're all conference games. And this team now believes something special is brewing.
I feel like this is definitely the start to something big, we haven't really been getting the respect that we needed or that we wanted, and so we're trying to prove everybody.
We're trying to win the championship here. It's not about talking about a bowl game or anything like that. We're busting our butts every single day. And I feel like it's finally showing, a few key players here and there making plays.
And Tulane will try to keep that going Saturday at home against UConn. Still ahead, we'll take you inside the Smoothie King Center, where Zion Williamson wowed Pelicans fans at the team's open practice this weekend. The Pelicans preseason starts tomorrow night in Atlanta. It'll be our first chance to see possible rotations and combinations because the roster is deep. And thousands of Pelican fans took advantage of a chance to see the rebuilt team in person Saturday night, as Andrew Doak reports.
This weekend at the Smoothie King Center, the Pelicans held an open practice, and fans couldn't wait to open the doors to get inside.
Last year I was very impressed with the number of people that come out, but this was a completely different animal. Just the whole atmosphere and the energy that was in the building, and the number of fans that we have. The fact that there were people actually sitting in the upper deck is really a surprise.
On Saturday night, the city of New Orleans made a statement in the middle of football season showing they are ready for Pelicans basketball. On a night where the Pelicans had an open practice, there were probably about 10,000 fans that filled not only the lower bowl, but even portions of the upper bowl here at the Smoothie King Center. Fans, of course, excited to see Zion Williamson in his first live practice setting, but also plenty of other new players that are a part of this franchise, which is now heading in a very positive direction.
I think it just shows the love the city has for the Pelicans. For them to take the time out their schedule, come here and support us for, a little scrimmage, that means a lot to us. We hope we can keep that same energy throughout the year and just have fun with it.
Had a really good vibe out there, a lot of energy. Hopefully, all we really try to do is put on the show, but at the same time get better. But it was awesome.
And what was awesome to watch was Zion's freakish athleticism on full display. There was no one like him in the NBA, and even his misses were a thing to marvel. But for people to show up for a practice the way that they did was astounding. Fans were in their seats an hour before their scrimmage even began. So this should serve as just a preview of the pandemonium this franchise can experience in their own building this year.
I think it was big for us to give the fans kind of a little idea of what they have in store coming up for the season, and the fact that we only have one game here, what is that, about a week away against Utah, I think was big for our fans, most importantly.
And for all those who attended, it was worth every second of dedicating your Saturday night to it.
The lights were really bright compared to the practice center, but I think we're going to have a lot of great memories here.
From the Smoothie King Center, Andrew Doak will have more 4th Down on 4 in a minute.
Second quarter of the Saints game today. Play-by-play man and former Channel 4 sports anchor Chris Myers gave us a little plug.
It's 4th and 4, not 4th Down on 4. It's a popular show here, but 4th and 4. So Matt Gay, the 5th round draft pick, the rookie kicker. And you look at what he's done in the last 3 games.
Battles of Florida. The Gators at LSU Saturday, the Saints at Jacksonville Sunday, and we'll wrap up both right here next Sunday night. For all of us here at Eyewitness Sports, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on 4th Down on 4.
Eye on the Tigers coverage is brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile, the best deal in wireless.